excited to be here with an amazing group to talk about the value of premium audiences, meaning those audiences that are found in editorial news environments with a really high quality mindset. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that can do for advertisers, marketers, and brands' bottom lines. And like I said, we have an amazing group of people here to shepherd the discussion. So first, we have Stephanie Helen Scheller from OMG. Stephanie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm from Omnicom. I'm in charge of sustainability. So I run a sustainability consultancy to make sure that we now start to actually combine our classic media planning, but also with an environmentally conscious way of doing business.
Awesome. And we also have Jessie Waldell, SVP of Digital at Dow Jones. So Jessie.
Thank you, Stephanie and Katie. I oversee our digital operations and client success teams at Dow Jones. So that includes everything from our traditional digital strategy to our high-touch client services.
And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Christoph Eckschmidt from Axel Springer. So Christoph.
Yeah, thank you. So I have different roles at Axel Springer. So I'm the global CMO and Chief Commercial Officer. So not just spending the money, I'm also in charge to get it back. I'm also in charge for the entire sales department in Germany, but also for the sales activities on a global way. And I'm also the CEO of Bonial. So it's the most important aggregator in Germany and also in the French business for offer communication.
Just a few small roles, right? Well, I'm very excited to have each of you here, and I know we've had great discussions about this topic, so super excited to jump right in. Just a little bit about why we are here today. So we know that the media landscape is rapidly changing. We know that the number of channels that consumers have to get information and to learn is only growing and transforming rapidly more and more each day. With all that being said, we know that the value and role of news is only going to become more critical. So trusted journalistic content will only become more of an important lifeline for our society. So with that in mind, we know that it can also drive really great brand results. It can drive true brand impact for marketers and really help drive things like sales, outcomes, results. So I'd love to hear from each of you to kick us off where you've really seen news media or editorial content drive an impact for a brand or a marketer, where it can really influence great outcomes and where you personally have seen it do exactly that.
Yeah. Should I start?
Please.
Yeah, so I think it's important to also to understand the history of Axel Springer. Yeah, so years ago, I think 15 years ago, when I joined first time at Axel Springer was a very print-driven company, and we had to transform into digital. So I think also when we joined Cannes years ago, it was always a pressure, you have to digitalize. And we invested like crazy. And today in Germany, so for example, Bild, I would say is the most important journalistic media brand in Europe with more than 48 million monthly active users. And now 30% of our inventory is blocked. So of our digital inventory. And I think this is exactly why we are fighting very hard so that it's a fair competition, especially between social media and also the journalistic brands, because it's all about quality. And just one example, so every one of us is looking for the perfect match for talented people. And you have two candidates and you are asking, okay, how you inform about what's happening in the world. First one is telling you, I'm using New York Times, I'm reading Washington Post, and I'm also watching CNN. The other candidate is answering, so I'm not interested in journalism and at all. I'm just following my TikTok feed. So, and you can see this, So, okay, from this perspective, when you just have this decision-making process, you would decide for person number one. But in the advertising industry, it's totally different. So you decide for number two. And I would say, so because we are talking about premium and about quality, and we have a lot of quality and we have a lot of reach, and I think it's a huge benefit for brands to use this reach And I would say, yeah, so there is no reason to block 30% of our inventory anymore.
Katie, I'll just build on that to say, I'm at Dow Jones, so that includes Wall Street Journal, Barron's, MarketWatch. We have these incredibly premium brands. And with these premium brands comes this incredibly trusted relationship with consumers. And we know that this trusted relationship exists because of our subscriber base. We have one of the largest, most robust subscriber bases within the premium journalistic ecosystem. And every month our subscribers come back because we bring that level of trust to our with our journalism to our subscribers. And so that is why when you describe that paradigm, Christoph, that trust is not kind of paralleled in other parts of the ecosystem. And so once brands leverage that trust, they're able to see greater impact on their outcomes. And I think there's been kind of a long time misunderstanding on what types of impact publishers can have on brands. That publishers are awareness vehicles, and if you want performance, you have to go elsewhere. You have to go to walled gardens. And for us, we've seen that not be the case. And Katie, you and I were just talking about this. There's so many examples in the ecosystem today of data showing that actually when you leverage publishers, when you leverage news brands, you have greater performance outcomes. We recently did a case study where we leveraged one set of creative that had a block list and one that didn't. And the set of creative that did not have a block list had greater outcomes at the lower parts of the funnel, so greater conversion and click outcomes than the block list campaign. So I think going back to your original question around performance and engagement and where we've seen success, it is critical that brands are leveraging publishers. And when you leverage publishers with a nuanced approach, with trying to minimize blocking and kind of excluding inventory and audiences, you have the greatest opportunity for impact.
And I think to build on that, what we sometimes forget is we think about that newspaper article is newspaper. But what we forget is the brand behind that. And people identify as, I'm somebody who reads Bild. I'm somebody who reads The Guardian. It is becoming part of their personality that I think sometimes we forget. It's not just a medium. It's a brand itself, and that can amplify an image or a campaign as well.
I was going to just ask you, Stephanie. I mean, I know that you really focus on the Omnicom side, helping your clients really build a relationship with their audience. And I love what you both just said about the value of the brand itself being able to really foster that relationship with the audience. So maybe a question on the inverse side of things. Have you ever seen a real example of a marketer, a client, or a brand who's really kind of missed out or maybe didn't think through really the way they should be tapping into news in necessarily the right way?
I think the best example to give is COVID and Corona times. So 96% of ads were blocked because it said words like drug. But it was a good drug. It was talking about, the establishment that we've done and the progress we've made. Another example is we have, obviously, within Omnicom, beverage clients, and they like to advertise in the field of sports. But when an article said somebody shot a goal, then the word shot can
or
have
conflict.
Yeah, but it can have a negative connotation. I think that is why it's so important, even more now, to have relationships with your agency, have relationships with a publisher, understand the context, because that is the human nuance that can guide you so much better than maybe a system or AI actually can do.
Absolutely. I mean, from your perspective on the editorial side, any thoughts?
In terms of the engagement with our advertisers
and missed opportunities that you've seen some of your advertising partners maybe have to navigate around.
Yeah, so if we look at our kind of standard expected blocked categories from our advertisers, so opinion, politics, news, it blocks 50% of our inventory. And so that's 50% of audiences that you're not engaging. With premium brands like Wall Street Journal, those are crucial consumers that you're looking to reach to achieve business outcomes. And so you're simply just not reaching them. And so that's the largest missed opportunity. And I think there is certainly a place for brand suitability. It should just be nuanced and informed by the publishers you're working with, right? And so working with your agency, working with your publisher partners to have a very kind of specific approach that suits the environment. Obviously, the approach you're going to take with Axel Springer or Dow Jones is going to be different than the approach you take on the open web, and that's totally expected. But understanding how you execute on that nuance is really important.
I can also share a personal example. Yeah, so I think weeks ago there was a terror attack in Germany. Yeah, so in Mannheim, honestly, it happens a lot, and we have to talk about it and have to inform. And it's always the same. Yeah, so we have this big homepage at Bild. Yeah, so in Germany, so with more than 25 million ad impressions a day. So you will reach a lot of people. And it's always the same. So when we are starting to inform people about what's happening, I'm getting a call from the CMO. Yeah, so, and it's always the same. Christoph, we have to stop. Yeah, so our ad. And I always ask back, okay, will you also stop at social media? Because this topic will be also very present, yeah, so in social media today. Yeah, so no, just at you because it's too visible. Yeah, so and then, yeah, so last time, because I was very angry about this, yeah, so I asked my team today, we will do exactly different things, yeah, so everyone now will look on X, on Meta, and also on TikTok, if you will find the ad of this client. And we found a lot, yeah, so, but in the context of people that support this terror attack, yeah, so pretty strange guys, yeah, so, and we collect all these things, and then I send this summary to the CMO and his team, and I ask him, okay, yeah, so you are stopping ads at a news platform where journalists inform people about what's happening in the world, but in the same time, you are doing nothing when people also support what's happening, and you will be so on the next click. Yeah, so it's strange. Yes, and I think this is happening every day. Yeah, so because news publishers like us, they are very visible. Yeah, so and
Right.
you cannot see all of the millions of feeds. Yeah, so therefore, yeah, oh no, it's not a problem but it is. Yeah,
Right.
so and I think this is for us, it's a challenge.
And I think that every marketer and, brand can understand that moment of fear when they're getting the call from the CMO, right? I think we all can commiserate with that. So for us at Teads especially, we're very focused on kind of flipping the conversation on its head and instead leading with the value that really editorial publishers provide. I loved what you said about fostering that human connection with the audience and the importance of being able to do that in the way that journalists and premium editorial outlets do. So I hate to use the buzzword of the day, but let's turn the conversation towards AI a bit. Speaking of human connection, we know that this is only going to accelerate the changing ways that people get information. We're already seeing the way that people interact with news media completely changing how they get information, how they get current events, updates. So how do you all really think about the role of news institutions specifically in a future where AI is going to be so widely adopted and used?
I think the trust in the brand you're consuming, the trusted journalism that news brands are producing becomes even more critical. Without that trust, without that relationship with your subscriber, your consumer, you don't know where the content you're consuming is coming from, and you don't have a sense of what type of institutional structures are in place to ensure that what you are consuming is accurate, relevant, that the kind of institution that's behind brands like Dow Jones exists in those type of ecosystems. And so I think we'll continue to kind of lean into building those trusted relationships with our subscribers and our consumers, because that is really the core differentiator of what news and journalistic institutions can provide in kind of the AI-based information ecosystem.
Absolutely. I mean, Stephanie, from an agency perspective as well as from a sustainability perspective, how are you all thinking about advising clients to, navigate this changing world of AI and think about editorial news journalism accordingly?
I think it's such a fast moving space. I feel like, I don't know if you guys still remember the day when actually DeepSeek came out, and it was just like everyone had such a clear opinion, and then from the day one to day two and changed. So it's such a fast moving space, which is exciting. But at the same time, what we think is required is some sort of transparency, some sort of regulation. So what we advise our clients, and also what we do within Omnicom itself, is we have a code of conduct on how to use AI responsibly. And when we think again about sustainability, is AI can be a massive way to improve sustainability in future. But if we use AI to create an action figure of ourselves and post it on the internet, that might not be the most useful way to actually use AI and hence emit carbon through the server capacity. So we believe in having a code of conduct can actually foster that relationship with AI and make it more efficient in the future.
And for us, I would say AI is a very, very great opportunity because, I think publishers that build up huge audience in the last years will benefit. So for example, so we see that a lot of people are inspired about our content. But then they have a lot of questions. So maybe the launch of Ozempic. So everyone was interested where I can buy it. So who is using it? So you have a lot of questions, and we see that people are leaving our platforms to Google and to ChatGPT because of having a lot of questions. And 1 year ago, we integrated an own tool, which is Hey. It's an AI tool where we can answer to all of these questions. So it's integrated into every article. So you have, you want to get another data, another information, and we could increase the duration time. So by 150%, that people are not leaving our news platforms anymore. So for us, it's a great opportunity because now everyone has the opportunity to integrate Google. So into the audience, and exactly what you said, so with this trust, so people also trust by having this interaction with our AI tools. So for us, it's pretty huge and it's very important, and I see a lot of potentials.
I love that comment just because I think that on the flip side, we also want to think about all of the opportunities that the AI is going to bring to our space in particular. I mean, the results you just shared are very compelling. And I think that equally AI is going to help us kind of rewrite the traditional limitations of media and media strategy and advertising in general. So are there any examples or thoughts you have about how AI could actually help you prove more concrete results for your partners on the editorial side? Or Stephanie, how you're viewing this from the buy side?
So we've been focused on producing products that leverage our really distinct approach to data and intelligence. We have both our consumer-facing brands, which the market is very familiar with, as well as B2B brands. And those B2B brands are really steeped in data and intelligence. And so how can we use that infrastructure, that kind of level of detail that standard consumers don't have, and offer it to our advertisers? And so we have products like Thematic and Thematic AI, which essentially allow us to use our Factiva taxonomy and bring it to our clients either within ad units or in targeting capabilities. Because of our kind of direct relationship with our subscribers, we have really robust first-party data capabilities. And so AI allows us to continue to evolve and build on that foundation and bring it to our advertiser base in really distinct and interesting ways.
We launched a new AI product, and I think our first client was Samsung. So, and we integrated it in our funnel, and we asked the users a lot of questions. So, and now at the end we had a lot of qualified leads. So we sent to Samsung, and they told us, "Hey, great! Now we have. It's the first." Way, or it's also for us the first time that now we can also qualify our users in a more specific way. And I think this is a huge advantage, and I think there will a lot of products like this.
I also think and what we see with an Omnicom is if you use AI in the right business way, it increases efficiency. And every client wants fast-moving environments that have answers quickly delivered. So I think that also, from an internal perspective, helps us to just deliver better work because we now have more accessible tools that are connected and through AI give the extra level up that we might not have had before.
Stephanie, you spoke to this idea that you encourage your brands and partners to create a perspective on how they want to approach AI. And we really think of that as authentic intelligence, right? So we apply our journalistic integrity and processes, but we use AI when it's appropriate and when it's helpful and when we can merge data sets and work faster to serve our clients and our consumers. So that, I think, is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a great point that there is so much of a wealth of really great data that exists in news and editorial properties and understanding of your audience through that long-term loyal relationship. And AI is most powerful when it's fed with that incredibly rich data around the consumer journey. Are there any other interesting things that you're thinking about building or productizing in the years to come around that, or thoughts on more opportunities around?
I think what's very important is that we strengthen collaborations. Yeah, so today I had some meetings with Snap, but also with other platforms. And I think for years it was okay, my users, yeah, so your users, yeah, please don't touch. But I think this will end, yeah, because we have to connect more, yeah, so you have to share more, yeah, and I think we need an openness to work together. Yeah, so especially, yeah, so to share benefits for the users, and you cannot build up everything for your own. Yeah, so you need stronger collaborations, and I think this will also increase.
And I think that's what we see is like we've come from a very, very separated world during COVID times where everything was so digital first only, but I feel now we still, even though it's almost like 5 years ago when it started, we still feel like we haven't been to that point yet where we're back to having these human interactions. And I feel like there's the need, and this is why we are here at CAM, because we are fostering human connections and human relationship that we can build that can then be enriched with data, AI, and technology. But I think the more we come, there's more room for us to grow together and become one as an industry and not think of in silos more as we've used to.
Agreed. Any thoughts, Jesse, or anything to add?
You asked kind of in a year outlook. I think it's months, right, where products are iterated on and built and introduced to the market in a really kind of experimental and innovative way. And that's kind of our approach right now is where's our business need, where's our clients' needs, really focusing again on that performance narrative where us as publishers are helping our clients drive outcomes. How do we do that in a way that leverages data and AI to be as kind of quick, real time as possible to be competitive with the walled gardens who are already doing that in compelling ways?
Right. Yeah, that's a perfect segue because the next question I wanted to ask is one related to what we were just discussing, and that there's more collaboration across the industry that's really needed. I think we all agree on that. What about the specific brand and publisher relationship or marketer-publisher relationship? What's working well there today? What do you think could improve? How could that benefit from some change and transformation?
I have a really good anecdote. In the fall, we offered a performance guarantee for the first time. We partnered with a leading attention measurement company. And the reason we introduced that is we were hearing from marketers that they were worried about being in news around the election, and not necessarily from a brand suitability or safety perspective, because these were brands that had advertised in news historically, but really they were just like, it's going to be too loud. And no one's going to notice me or see me, and I just don't think I'll be able to stand out. And so we said, we disagree. We had data to back us up, obviously, historic data to say that wasn't the case. And so we made a guarantee. And so we had 5 brands, 6 campaigns run, and we outperformed that guarantee across the board. And so what we learned from that use case was actually that advertisers were looking to us as a publisher to educate, inform them, and help them build what we're calling their performance toolkit, right? So, viewability having been the previous status quo for performance, and now they're looking to us to help inform how to measure the objectives and outcomes that they're looking for. And so that was a really kind of exciting thing for us to understand, is that it didn't have to be brand to publisher, but it could be a two-way conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, from my perspective, brands have a very, very strong responsibility. Yeah, so when you think about what's happening at social media, so it's not the users that are paying for social media; it's just the brands. Yeah, so and when you see, I think weeks ago, a very, very interesting study was launched in Germany. So and what was the outcome? 50% of everyone who was asked said that he is getting on a daily basis fake information on social media. Yeah, so 80% said that misinformation is one of the most important topics in the society. Yeah, so from a global risk report, so I think it was the most important risk for us. Yeah, so 210 million people are addicted to social media. So at the end, it's also the responsibility of the brands, and also to ask a lot of questions. Publishers, you have to do this, and this, and you have to protect your data, and brand safety is also very important. So there are so many requirements we have to fulfill. And on the other hand, okay, it's meta, so it's performance, it's reach, so but then we also have an ongoing discussion about, okay, when you block 30% of my inventory, so my performance, so is also not the best, so please unblock everything, so, and I would wish that we have a more open discussion, and that also the brands understand that they need premium journalistic assets. So we see what's happening in the world, and when you don't have any type of Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, Politico, New York Times, so what world will it be? So there is a huge responsibility, and I would say the advertising market is, so they have the key.
I could not agree with you more. I feel like marketers, and Katie, you can confirm this, are addicted to outcomes. And so for us, it's critical that we speak their language, right? Supporting publishers for good is not going to drive the bottom line. And so the focus on performance, I think from our perspective, is critical at making sure we understand why we're not as competitive with those walled gardens, perceived as competitive with those walled gardens, and helping educate our brand partners to say, you could be more performant in these platforms, in these news publishers, if you did X. Stop blocking us. Stop pausing your campaigns around news events. All those things. So I think that's really critical that we educate them on how they're putting themselves in jeopardy from driving performance in our platforms.
And that's what I think I see also within Omnicom, but also with other agencies. It's moving away from just being a service or someone who's like servicing someone to actually consulting someone. So really making the shift on education, on fostering that trust, building that trust, and building on a proper ground to then build up that brand and that image. But to understand the facets and to understand the brand is actually a consulting work now, to be able to then service the right channels and not just say, well, we've always done X amount in channel A, X amount in channel B. Let's just keep the same media mix as we've had. And I think that is the change that I see within us, but also with other agencies.
And I think it's a great direction that you brought the conversation into, all three of you, just because I think I agree that it really has to be led with results, right? We need to bring the perception of news from a cause marketing kind of category and effort into one that's a must buy. It's important for, yes, the future of our society, but it's important for reaching your audience and driving real results from them. So as we think about the future, the next 5 years, I know we all had a really great discussion about this a few weeks ago. What do you think really needs to happen to build towards a better future? What kind of change do we really need to affect in order to begin moving the needle in bringing back that support and value for editorial environments and driving brand results with them?
From my perspective, it's necessary that we innovate the kind of collaboration between agencies, clients, and publishers. Yes, because just to have reach, and here, so you can get this ad, and so I think it will not work anymore. So we have to be more on a consultative way. What are your goals? So how can we help you? So also with the power of a publishing house. So you have so much power. So you can organize events. You can also invite a lot of different people. So a lot of them will come. So I think we have to combine it, but it also means that you have to, work in a much more direct way together. So when you have a negotiation, so with a client, and they will just give you the feedback, you have to talk with my agency, but not with me. I think you need both. So sitting at the table, talk about the goals, work together. So I think, especially with AI, because now we have more individual cases you can build. And I think this will change a lot. And this will also change the skills you need for a sales team. So you need different profiles. So you need people that knows the clients as they were employees. So, and I think this will change totally the advertising market. It will be not just programmatic and CPM. So, and just to have audience, it will be much more. And also more interaction.
Stephanie, what are your thoughts on that from the brand and agency perspective especially?
I think we as an industry need more golden rules. And that comes with education, especially on how to use, for example, AI, on how to know what is right, what is wrong, what is trusted, what is not trusted. But as an industry, align on a few common goals and common perspective to do this work we do as in collaboration together, but also educate, especially maybe younger generations who grew up with now something with AI, that trust that what they read is right, to guide them and to align as an industry on trusted sources.
Stephanie, that was perfectly said. I think I would just echo that. It is our responsibility as news and publishing brands to not only to continue to foster those relationships we're having with our consumers who understand the value we bring to them and the credibility our journalism brings to our content, but then to decide how does that take shape for the next generation and how do we bring them along with us, right? As Christoph said, those are the generations that are consuming the majority of their news on social media platforms. And so how do we as publishers, as the whole ecosystem, understand that we also need to help the next generation understand the critical value of the publisher ecosystem and the content and the journalistic integrity. I think it's so important.
I think it's a great way to kind of cap off the discussion with some inspirational words for the future. So I just want to truly thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy and busy day. And thank you to everyone in the audience for taking the time to join us. And
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
rest of your
you.
day.